my volume, and I'm turning up y'all's volume. And greetings and salutations, fellow travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. So, as we usually do, disclaimer before we begin anything, this is a podcast with adults, some of the adults, using adult language. You have been warned.
Thanks, Dad.
The
Can't miss it.
Pathfather has spoken. For those interested in supporting the type of content you are about to hear, you can go over to Patreon to either the Inn of Planar Crossroads or Black Dragon Gaming, whom we are chatting with as usual, and support either one of us. If you are going to support one or the other, you could support Black Dragon Gaming first, as he's getting a bit more traction going for him in that. However, we won't fuss if you support both of us, because as both now Sarah, because it's technically Sarah, Tommy, that gets to pick, because she's the patron. Sarah, Tommy's wife, and Joe are both patrons over there, and they are entered in the monthly giveaway, which we do, which this month is going to be, we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. It's going to be a splat book of your choice for any tabletop system, must be tabletop system, that you'd like to get a splat book for. Now, the splat book's probably going to be no more than $20. Probably need to keep it like a $12 or $15 splat book. That's what they usually run on Paizo, I think. So that'd be a good range for us. But that is our giveaway that the Inn of Planar Crossroads is having, and it's only for giant tier patrons. So the two giants on whom's shoulders we stand are with us today to chat. Let me see. We are going to be chatting today about CR11 to 12 creatures, highlighting some creatures that we like, and we are going to keep this within an hour probably, because we were pretty good last time. We can probably do it this time, not like the times before. Our most recent subscriber giveaway, one-shot giveaway, was for 100 subscribers, which we passed, and Kane ran a one-shot that I am told went over well, and people had a bunch of fun, which only thwarted his plan to make it to where he would never have to run a game for the Inn of Planar Crossroads actual group, because people liked it, Kane. Now it's
that doesn't mean anything, man. I could just say no.
See, that's just dang it. He's figured it out. Yes, he could just say no. But that aside, our next our next subscriber appreciation one shot is going to be at 200. So when we reach 200, we're going to do another giveaway, and Colin has volunteered to run that one, and he has a nice, fun, wacky adventure type of idea in his head for that one shot. So it should be a lot of just real fun to be had in that one. As far as any new series we have coming up, there's a kids game that's starting up. It's just in its infancy right now. The character creation, kind of a really abbreviated character creation. I did some other selecting on the side with Adonijah, my son. He's going to be doing a game with us. We're doing in Pathfinder. He's got to do all the math and stuff like that, but that's fine. And he's going to be playing a kitsune named Moon, who is a ninja from the Mountainwood. So you can get more information on that. The first official session will hopefully come out not long after this particular video comes out, because I'm prioritizing that to get it out, because I want people to be able to see it and get into it if they're going to get into it. It's podcast mainly, though we do have some graphics up for those that watch on YouTube so that they can see the map that we're dealing with. Final announcement from the Inn of Planar Crossroads is we are going to be doing a con this year, or we're going to be going to a con this year in St. Louis that we've been announcing this whole time, so if you've been following the videos, you already know about this. We'll be there. A couple people from Black Dragon Gaming, Tommy, Sarah, and Joe. I think will be there. Colin, myself, and Kane will be there from the Interplanar Crossroads, and then I think that's everybody that has plans to make it. So hopefully that'll be fun for everyone. You can come out and see us, and we'll be doing some recording with each other, actually live in person, for different things that should be fun for everybody to watch and see us fiddling about with. But that's enough. That's we're 6 minutes in now. So let's go ahead and get started in what we're supposed to be talking about today. So I'm going to roll the dice, and we're gonna see what happens. So 3. All right, Donald, you're up first.
Okay, first thing first, both of the monsters you be covering, I used them in a recent campaign so far, and both of them are themed after evil undead, which I actually like undead. And the monster I'll be covering, it is a monster from the Tome of Horrors called the Demonic Knight. This is a nice martial type of creature you could use in a campaign, and especially be a villain, because it has the stats to be a villain by itself. This creature, it has a relatively good AC. If you give it max hit points, saves are okay across the board. Pretty good DR and spell resistance, but by this point, most of the party members would bypass all this. The Anarch Sword, which damage against lawful characters. So you have a pesky paladin and you want to hurt them even more, use that longsword with all the spells it have. Detect magic, see invisibility, which is pretty nice against the rogues that get to have this, especially if you multi-class. Dispel magic, a bunch of summon demons they can do, fireball, and then they have a bunch of combat feat, which is pretty nice, doing a lot more attacks within a short amount of time. And also, it get to do a special attack, Breath of Unlife. If a creature fails their save, they get to receive a strength damage, which is pretty nice. It's only one natural one for a fighter or for a wizard to have your strength be reduced by that much. 2d4, that's a lot, especially maximum rolls. And then any creature this creature does slay, it becomes shadows under its control in 2d4 rounds. So I could picture a counter, especially a servant of a demon lord, slay a lot of civilians and they become shadows under its control. So yeah, the Demonic Knights, they're quite fun, especially with the lore that is behind them in the description in the Tome of Horrors for them. And then for my CR12 monster I'd be covering, it is the Grave Knight. It is found in the Bestiary 3. This is another nice template to throw on a big bad. This template, and let me put it in chat so you can have a look at. It's a CR2. It's a CR2 template. So this template is applied to a fighter. So you get a bunch of nice things added on top of what fighters are generally good at using the Grave Knight template. You get to do additional additional elemental damage based upon what type of element you choose for the Grave Knight to be made. More immunities, defensive ability, DRs. It get a area effect, power like channel energy, which is pretty nice. The Grave Knight, it is effectively the fight, so this is pretty nice, especially when it used its channel energy ability, Sacrilegious Aura. It gets to heal itself and its undead minions, and it gets to control a good amount of undead under its control. The template itself, if you do use it for a martial class, it's are tougher. So like a anti-paladin grave knight, a fighter grave knight, they're quite powerful if you build them right. I'm actually using a grave knight, and I'm actually giving my players a bit of a one of their money using the grave knight abilities properly. These creatures, if you use them in their own environment and everything going in their favor, they're a fantastic monster to use. Generally, most monsters, if you use them properly, they are quite tough if things are going in their favor or have equal footing with the players. So yeah, the Demonic Knight and the Grave Knight, both of these monsters are pretty fun to use by themselves, and they have a nice bit of lore behind how they are made. And that is my thing. Night theme monsters.
Nope.
True. Especially demonic theme undead. You could potentially use in a campaign.
Have done it before. Have done it very often throughout the course of like an entire campaign.
The good thing about the Demonic Knight, you can just easily change some of the details and make them more unique compared to the others, such as give them better armor, weapons, and then switch out some of the abilities to flavor what type of are.
Or have them ride undead Kirin and have a bunch of dudes with muskets gum up the ground game. All the Grave Knights are just.
Yep, undead be pretty fun after like CR10 for what variant you have.
There you go. All right, so that is one down. Let's see who's next. Joe is next.
All right. So for my CR11 creature, I've chosen the Thunderbird. Pretty nice creature. Starting out, it is gargantuan. It's a magical beast. It's neutral. It has a pretty nice initiative score, +7. It's better than most of the NPCs in like the NPC gallery, at least. Just looking at it, it has dark vision, 60 feet. Low light vision. Don't know why I need both, but it's nice. It has a pretty nice perception score. It has something called Storm Sight, which kind of screws up those of us who like fog cloud and obscuring mist, because you can see through that. AC, its touch is abysmal. It's flat-footed is pretty nice. It only has like +3 dex, so it is immune to electricity and sonic damage. And if you hit it with something else, it has a pretty nice fort reflex save. Its will save is okay. Pretty nice amount of hit points there as well. It's 210 hit points at max. For a gargantuan creature, it has a pretty nice fly speed. It has 120 feet good, which is like just amazing because most things of this size probably have clumsy. Yeah. Its claws, it has a grab. It's probably going to hit. It adds 18 on those 2 claws, but it has a grab, which is, I think, amazing considering the fact that it's a gargantuan flying beast that can drop people from the sky. Its range is a touch attack. It's Thunderbolt, 66 electric, and 66 sonic. So if there's someone who's somehow immune to sonic damage, not sonic, electricity damage, sonic damage is going to get through to them, which is nice. It has at-will control weather, which is nice. I'll talk about that when I talk about the encounters we construct, because I have an amazing idea for this guy. But he has when we come down, his stats are all right. He has a +30 to grapple, a CMD of 40, which is basically he's going to grab you and throw you off of things. He has critical focus, and like a bunch of stuff. So his melee attacks are 19 to 20 crits, which are they're nice. It's only times 2. He has power attack, which is not calculated in the damage, but that is also just very nice.
All right.
Did Joe freeze?
I think Joe died.
Joe, no.
No.
No, it probably sound more like no. Oh.
Ooh.
Okay, well, Joe froze. I like his creature though.
It was
Yeah,
indeed good.
Thunderbirds are nasty.
Yeah, Thunderbirds are quite an interesting monster, especially monsters at SCR and above, just for their lore.
Yeah, I used Thunderbirds in an encounter way back in the day involving a bunch of like the week before I asked all my like guys with flying mounts to like make sure they knew their carrying capacity, and I had just like a bunch of goblins jumping off Thunderbirds and grabbing onto people so like they'd weigh them down so they crash, and oh yeah, by the way, tornadoes and stuff.
How would the goblins?
Why?
get
How did the
on
goblins get a hold of the Thunderbird?
Yeah, that's my question.
Because I'm the GM, that's why.
They were goblin birds, maybe. I guess. I don't know. But
Yeah,
if you
they were
ever
just,
wanted
like-
to know,
I think I had them in like cages, and they would jump out of the cage and like suicide bomb their way down because most of them didn't grab the players and just kind of whoop.
well, if you ever wanted to know what Zapdos look like in Pathfinder, now you know.
There he is. Yeah.
And you just
From-
change out the weather effects for the other legendary birds.
Mhm.
Pretty sure a number of different folklores.
Oh yeah. All right, so we got Thunderbird, Joe. Are you back with us?
I think he was back and then he dropped again.
Erg. Okay, well we'll
His
come back.
picture's not
to Joe.
moving.
One good thing about sonic damage, most creatures don't have DR to it, so it bypass almost everything unless I say otherwise.
Yeah, it's very difficult to resist, and it ignores object hardness. So it damages objects, armor, cover. It'll vibrate the crap out of anything.
Hmm.
Your wizard's been building golems. Golem's not gonna have a good time.
Oh, oops. All right.
I didn't realize that. Kansai can spend 2 points from his arcane pool to do all of his damage as sonic damage. I think I know my next Sunderer.
Yeah. All right. So I rolled to see.
Hey, man,
who's
don't
gonna
break the
fill in
loot.
while we wait for Joe, and it was me. So,
Ha!
all right. So my CR11 is going to be. There's a lot of nice stuff at these upper levels, like the CR10s, 10s to like 15s and stuff. You get a lot of nice stuff.
Oh, now we have 2 Joes.
We have 3 Joes.
No,
on
I
my
have 3
screen.
Joes.
I'm seeing
Oh,
three.
My screen,
Three
yeah.
Joes.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me, like, it kept saying I had an error occurred, and then my internet went out for a second, then it came back, and then I tried to rejoin, and it made the second Joe, and then I tried to rejoin again, and it's made this third Joe who is speaking to you now. I'll have to kill the other 2 later.
Yeah.
Kill the other Joes.
But he's got a Joe on either side of the active window now, so it looks like you have a huge banner on either side.
Yeah, I'm just surrounded by almond blossoms.
We don't need
So
a
what is
citadel
the
of
last thing
Joes,
you guys
okay?
got?
We don't need a citadel of Joes.
What was the last thing you guys caught from me?
We caught you raving about the Thunderbird, and you covered most of its
Yeah.
abilities.
Did I talk about Thunderbolt, how it can stun and deafen people for 1 round after you've failed DC 22 Fortitude save?
You just did.
Did I tell you guys about how it will blow little tiny creatures around, and it will blow small creatures around if they make a DC 10 strength check or a DC 20 fly check, and they take a -4 on those checks?
Whoa.
And how ranged weapons take -4s? And how they can deal 12d6 points of electricity damage DC 22 reflex have every 1d4 rounds? Or how they can see through obscuring mist and fog cloud?
So are those winds, is that like from it flapping its wings, or is that just like a constant effect?
No, Storm Aura.
It's
That's
just
from
like the
just
eye
like
of
the
the
fact
storm,
that it is
basically.
a giant, like thunderstorm with wings. And then my other creature that I have to get to.
It makes me think of the rhino from James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
just skin
yeah.
it like a rhino. Nobody would
The
know
Thunder
what
Rhino.
it was. Nobody would know what it was.
Yeah, no, you get it.
It has infinity hit points, and the only way to defeat it is to scream that you aren't scared of it.
I choose to disbelieve. I choose to disbelieve.
It's just one enormous shadow evocation.
So, my CR12 creature, if you don't mind, I'll talk about that for a second, is a chaotic neutral medium outsider called the Valkyrie. She has a pretty bad initiative score, but she has dark vision, constant death watch, and a perception of 24. So she may not be very fast, but she can see you. She has pretty nice armor class. Her touch and flat footed are pretty nice. And that's 240 hit points. And she has DR10 over Cold and Iron, or Cold Iron, and Lawful. So unless someone has an axiomatic weapon or a Cold Iron weapon or a appropriate enhancement bonus to those, she's going to resist 10 of their damage, and she's immune to cold, electricity, and poison, and she resists acid and fire 10. She has spell resistance, which also puts her up there along with her very nice will save, reflex save, and fortitude save that I'm pretty jazzed about. She has an absolute shit ton of attacks that she can attack from flying, because she has a fly speed of 100 perfect, and it's a +2 returning spear. So she's going to throw those spears at you, and she adds 22, and she does 1d8 +6 if we're not already calculating in the fact that she is going to spirited charge the crap out of you.
On
And
a
Vital Strike you.
Slipnir, from what I'm seeing, she
Yeah.
charges on a Slipnir.
Yeah. So yeah, get right, kids. She casts like a level 12 something. What does she cast like? She probably casts like a cleric, considering her spells. She has at will, aid, death ward, general oppose, plane shift, herself in the mount only. She can call lightning storms because she is a denizen of Odin and Freya. She has Geese Quest and Divine Power as well 3 times a day, along with Breath of Life, Heal, and Summon a Sleipnir, who is a CR11 creature, 100%, so she can always get. Coming down here to her statistics, she has okay statistics. She's really within like slightly buffed player character range. Her CMD is just 1 lower than the CMD of the Thunderbird. Her CMB is pretty nice. So if she wants to grab you, she can grab you and drop you from a great distance. But she's probably going to just spirited charge the bejesus out of you. With a little bit of changing, she could do weapon focus, something other than a spear, considering she's got spirited charge. You know what I mean. And we come on down to like this, like her abilities, which aren't that great. She adds her charisma modifier to her armor class, which is like a pretty nice thing. It's already in her armor class up there, so it doesn't really add anything. And she can do something pretty flavorful, which she can newly dead body stored inside of her spear or lance for transport to the outer planes. This functions as soulbind, but the dead creature must be willing to have its soul taken. If the creature is unwilling, this ability has no effect. Which I'll also talk about these beautiful women next week.
Man, can I just say I really hate that there's no Valkyrie-blooded Azamar variant. Like, there's only 6 Azamar variants other than the base, but there's like 10 for the Tiefling and like 8 for the Skinwalkers. I think even Changelings have like 8 or 2 of them.
Put it on your channel, Tommy. You are the arbiter of your own destiny.
Tommy, when it comes to variants for the Outsiders, for Azamars and Tieflings, I would generally say if you want to have the same theme for one of the subtypes, still just change the stats around for what outsider heritage you would have exactly. So
yeah, I could make my own. I just feel like when Paizo's like making these books, they should have. I'm pretty sure the Valkyrie was out at this point. I'm pretty sure Blood of Angels is after Bestiary. 3 is where the Valkyrie is, I think. Isn't that right? 2 or 3?
Yeah, 3.
Let me see.
You know,
yeah, Bestiary 3.
It's curious. I would probably put their line as a Fey line based upon. It seems that they're giving the kind of Norse mythology stuff a Fey feel.
Yeah.
Because it's got Cold Iron Lawful as its DR. It has to be Cold Iron.
Yeah, I feel like that could switch between the two. I think this Valkyrie that we're seeing here probably represents Freya, considering chaotic neutral. And that's where Freya tends to sit, is more towards chaotic neutral than Odin.
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of those
not
Norse gods are
listed,
pretty
you know.
chaotic in general.
It's all the war and drinking.
Yeah.
The history behind Thor hammers, especially in DC universe, get pretty insane.
Well, first of all, it's Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel.
Second of all,
Thor's hammer that Batman
it's
uses.
a comic book.
Batman could use his hammer. I bet. Probably. That's probably canon in some
It's
universe.
science.
I mean, you do crossover things.
Yeah.
I think
Even
Superman's lifted it before.
Deadpool used it once.
Yeah, but the reason he can lift it is a whole nother bag of bananas.
Yeah, because he knows what it is. Because he breaks the fourth wall. Deadpool can do anything the writers want him to do, and he will tell you so himself in his little thought bubbles. I can do anything the writers want me to do. Thank you very much. Okay, I liked both of those creatures.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Was your CR12 pick the Valkyrie? I thought you said something else.
No, I totally said Valkyrie.
No, I guess I'm deaf.
He pronounced it
illiterate.
Valkyrie, but yeah, it's the Valkyrie. All right. Now, I already rolled while you were gone, Joe, and it came up with me. So, now I need to do mine. So, CR11, for me, I was just kind of breezing through, and I like the Ash Giant as my CR11. Not because they're particularly like awesome or anything like that, but because they're. It says, towering above a typical human, this misshapen giant's pale flesh is covered in purulent sores and bulbous tumors. So they're basically perpetually diseased giants. And the reason I chose it is because it fits in well as a big buddy for my Vermin Lord. Because they have vermin empathy also. So.
And because I picked your first choice.
Wow.
Boom!
Yeah.
Adam, one of these days for a one-shot, you need to play that Vermin Lord.
Yeah, at some point I'll end up playing the Might Vermin Lord. I haven't even named him yet, but it's somewhere in my head, bouncing around. But, yeah.
I was talking to Malcolm for ages and ages about running a game in the Underdark, so maybe we could figure that out.
Do it.
Maybe.
Do it.
But yes, I can totally see the Vermin Lord might, the Might Lord or whatever you want to say, bumping into into a particular Ash Giant and befriending them because they also talk to vermin. And they like all the things that he likes. And even though he's ugly, they don't care because they're diseased and it doesn't matter. And he's immune to disease by the time he's bouncing around where they are. So, yeah, I like this one. it's got a fort save of 23, which is going to be hard on those any kind of caster, any kind of low fort save at this level. This is CR11, and they've got a 23 fort save. The onset is 1 minute, mind you, for this disease that they have, and it's injury based. But it's a frequency of 1 day. You got to save 2 consecutive times, but each time you could take 2 points of a D2 of con damage and a D2 of charisma drain. So it feels a lot like Voral's Phage, if you have ever run or have played in the Rise of the Rune Lords campaign setting, but it's better because the fort save is higher. They have a lot of things going for them as far as giants being giants. They can use oversized weapons. The Ash Giant is a large creature, but he can use huge weapons without penalty. So if you threw class levels on this guy to try and challenge your players, going with the Vital Strike that I did with Vargas / Traxor, yeah, that'd get pretty ridiculous, as he can start with a huge weapon, and you'd only have to have a few of those levels in there to start getting some benefits.
Why are we talking about Traxor? How did he come up? Alex isn't here.
Yeah, Traxor. Yep. But, well, Vargas is Traxor, remember? That whole thing happened.
Yeah.
So, backstory for another character. But I like these guys because they have that. They've got power attack, point blank shot, which is nice if they want to throw a boulder at your face. So just pick it up off the ground and whoosh, right at you. They've got catch off guard, which makes it easy for them to do that too. So it's no big deal. And they've got precise shot, which is you don't always see. You should at this level. You should really see that when you're building up your monsters, Paizo. But precise shot. So they can not only throw a boulder, but they can throw a boulder well enough that they're not going to hit someone else who's engaging with you. So they can kind of whoosh, pot shot you off the fence, as it were. And I think that's why I like them for that. I also like that it says Ash Giants are brash and violent, and their humor is incredibly dark. Killing someone through a prank is just as funny as tripping a friend while on a hunt. While not inherently evil, and they're not inherently evil, lifetimes of being antagonized by other tribes have practically bred violence into their minds. So, in the same way that mites aren't looked on favorably for their looks, the Ash Giants aren't either, and that's why he makes such a good buddy for the Vermin Lord. So, that's why I picked him, because he was a good buddy for the Vermin Lord. Alright. 12. And I bet some people probably figured what I was going to do this time. But it shouldn't surprise anyone that my CR12 is the Dark Young of Shub-Niggurath. Or Shub-Niggurath, as I say it when I'm doing the Cthulhu stuff.
Excellent choice.
Yes, I like it. It's a really very, very flavorful creature. It is directly from one of his stories. If you want to know how to run this type of thing and how to really introduce it with some kind of dread or some kind of mystery around it, you can do. You just have to read the Dunwich Horror, because that's basically what the Dark Young of Shub-Niggurath is. It's a lumbering bulk of tree-like monster lurches out of the mist. Its branches, tentacles, its roots ending in hooves, and its trunk decorated with numerous drooling maws. So, this is a really, really flavorful creature, really nice. DR 15 versus everything that's not slashing. So most of the time, the people that are hitting are going to be hitting with slashing. You see that a lot. DR versus a certain type is not necessarily awesome as a type of damage, but you can't shoot it with arrows and get anything done really, because your arrows, unless you're really packing a punch behind them or doing some kind of smite with a paladin that's using his arrows for smiting, it's not super well done for you to get that damage in there. So slashing is going to be your buddy. That Frightful Presence aura that he has is 30 feet, and it's a DC 24, so it's no slouch around this level. You're probably getting like your paladins are going to pass that. Your raging barbarians will probably pass it, but like a rogue or even a wizard, wizards probably could, because that's one of their good saves. But there's a lot of the stuff that gets up front on him would have a harder time. And the Dark Young of Shub-Niggurath is not something that is super common. So finding one, or finding one just out of the blue, you're not likely to have a lot of information about it. So you wouldn't know that it was immune to acid, electricity, fire, and poison. And acid, electricity, and fire are really kind of bread and butter element types for your damage casters. Acid, all of the, like lightning bolt, doesn't touch him. Fireball doesn't touch him. Any kind of acid doesn't touch him. So you're going to have a lot of trouble dealing with him magic-wise if you don't know to use something along the lines of cold or something like that. As far as mechanically how he's going to behave, he has this neat little feature called Sucking Maws, which is an interesting title for an ability.
For our mature players.
For your mature players. But the Dark Young of Shub-Niggurath that successfully pins a creature that it's grappling, and it can grapple at a plus 26, and it's got a 35 CMD, so you're not likely to get it, and it can't be tripped. So what it's likely to do is it can hide in the forest pretty easily. It can hide. It's got a plus 20 stealth in the forest. Think about that. This huge aberration. A huge aberration. Its reach is nice. We're talking 15-foot reach here. And it can hide at a plus 20 in the forest. It can grapple you with its plus 26 to do so. Or it can entangle first. Or it can command the very forest to attack you. And start working on you that way. And it automatically, when it pins a creature that is grappling, it automatically inflicts 1d4 of strength drain. Meaning, there's no save to not get the strength drain. If you pass the fortitude save at 24, which again at this level is not something to just kind of shrug off, especially if you're a rogue that somehow got grappled, oh, you are in trouble. Because you may have a good escape artist, but it's got to beat 35, which is doable at this level, but you still got to roll it. It reduces it to 1 point of strength damage. 1 point of strength drain, excuse me. It's not damage, it's drain. And that's a big shift that starts to happen as you get into these upper levels, as you get drain instead of just damage. Drain's a lot harder to deal with than just damage. So it's got a lot of stuff that it does with that, and it doesn't kill you if it reduces you to 0 strength. You don't die. Instead, you have to make a DC 24 will save or be driven mad by the experience as the foul green waste exuded from the same sucking maws that drink life implant the emptied shells strange visions and horrifying certainties. So you see you start to feel and see and experience the universe as they see it, and you automatically get schizophrenia if you do that, which is troubling to deal with at certain points. And yeah, it's just a really fun, flavorful creature. Can be really utilized in a lot of different areas, given the right way that you use it. And it can, if it starts to feel like it's not getting what it wants, it can trample you as it rides away in a tree stride. And it has constant freedom of movement. So that CMD of 35, it doesn't even matter. It has constant freedom of movement. Yeah, that's my monsters. All right. Just 2 left. And it's Kane. Looks like Tommy's going last this time.
It's me. So are we just doing them in order now? Like we're doing both?
Yeah, 11 and then 12.
Okay. So my CR11 pick for this week was the Carnivorous Crystal. I was actually having difficulty finding things in this CR that I liked, which you guys clearly didn't have, which is good. But nothing in these CRs really picked my fancy, so I only had like 1 or 2 monsters from each CR that I like gave a second look at. Now, the Carnivorous Crystal is a medium ooze. That's how it starts out, and it's usually it inhabits the elemental plane of Earth. It's got blind sight, an absolutely abysmal initiative, and perception. At this CR, it's got bad AC. It doesn't have a lot of hit points. It's got no will or reflex save. So you might look at this thing and think, well, wait, why would you want anything to do with this? I'll tell you why, because it's awful. It's terrifying. It's got an aura called Subsonic Hum. And, Subsonic Hum, if you fail a Fortitude save, you're stunned for a round. If you make the save, you're immune to it for 24 hours. But if you keep failing the save, you're just losing all of your actions over and over and over again. It is an ooze that is a crystal. So it has an ability called Brittle. If you strike it with sonic damage or a critical hit from a bludgeoning damage, it will split. If you're not familiar with how the splitting property of oozes works, it splits into 2 copies of itself, I believe 1 size category smaller, and with an equal number of hit points. It's got DR 10 against everything. It's immune to cold, electricity. It has ooze traits. It's got resist 20 fire. It's vulnerable to sonic damage, but that's not surprising after what I just told you about it. It's very slow, but it's got a decent to hit with its 1 slam attack, and that slam attack crits on an 18 to 20 for 78 plus 9 damage. And it has Entrap. What's the DC on Entrap? If you fail your Fortitude save after you've been entrapped by the crystal, because it gets the entrap for free, you become helpless. And if while helpless, entrapped by a carnivorous crystal, you fail a Fortitude save again, you are petrified. And a petrified victim shatters, and a new carnivorous crystal emerges from the remains of that shattered corpse in 1d4 hours after you've been petrified. So if your wizard doesn't have flesh to stone, the other way around, stone to flesh. Nope, I did it again. Stone to flesh, prepped that day, and they don't have a scroll of it, you're screwed. You're done. You're out for the count. You're a monster now.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah. I like that.
That's full screen.
That is a terrible way to go.
Or you can play it up and talk to your DM and be the ooze.
That's also possible. I've heard of people playing Awakened Oozes.
I mean, there's
the
a
other
shifter
thing...
archetype now for basically that. So.
Oh, gross. Now, carnivorous crystals start out as medium-sized oozes, but it states in their ecology that particularly old carnivorous crystals just keep growing. A lot like reptiles you see here. So long as they have like a ready availability of food and enough time, they will become truly enormous given enough, if they're left alone long enough.
Ooh. So what if you have one that's so big that it is basically a crystal cavern, and it's learned.
Yes.
It's gotten smarter as it's gotten older, and it's learned that if it lets some come in and only takes a little bit, it gets to keep feeding and feeding and feeding.
It's the worst kind of mimic.
Yeah. I like that.
And then my CR12 pick. My CR12 pick was the Colux. I actually like better as an NPC as opposed to an enemy. The Coluxus Demon is, a chaotic evil outsider. It's very powerful in its own right. It's got a lot of spell-like abilities. Really good to hit. It's got stuff like Siphon. It deals fortitude, or it deals charisma damage with bite attacks, which means if you're dealing with a character like Necros that Tommy plays on Tuesdays, who only has a charisma of 6.
Yup.
2 of those failed fort saves, and you're in a coma.
Yes, yes.
Well, Magpie doesn't have much more charisma than 6, does he?
He's got a 10.
Yeah, see, yeah, so 3 saves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's got a much worse fortitude save than you.
Mm-hmm.
And an ability called Droning Wings. If you're not familiar with what a Colossus demon looks like, Colossus demons are formed by the souls of mortals who died of vanity, narcissists. They're usually humanoid. They look like humans, very, very elegant, well-dressed humans with the head of a fly and the gossamer wings of an insect. So, sort of the demonic definition of a butterface.
I'm picturing a horror movie now with that monster being.
Oh yeah, it's straight up the professor out of The Fly. They've got DR, a bunch of immunities, resistances, spell resistance 23. They've got a land speed and a fly speed because of the bug wings. They've got a bite and 2 slams. They have sneak attack dice. They can cast giant vermin or shadow evocation once per day. They've got confusion, haste, quickened invisibility, or mind fog 3 times a day. And if you fail the save for mind fog, you take a -10 to all of your will saves. Ooh. So if you fail the save from mind fog, he's just going to ping you with confusion and suggestion and shadow evocation, and there's not really going to be anything you can do about it.
Yeah, no. Oh, yeah. And the thing about shadow evocation is, like, you can cast that on yourself, and you can choose, and like, it's kind of wonky, but you can choose to fail any save that is targeting you, up to and including to, like, believe your own shadow evocation, which basically means that dude has access to whatever spell he wants whenever he wants it.
Oh yeah, of 4th level or lower.
Yeah, which is like all the buffs you ever wanted or needed, he's got them.
And if he's obliterating your will saves, he's got droning wings also. So if he does that first, and on somebody that he knows might be problematic, because
right, droning wings. So once per day, when it flutters its wings as a standard action, since Colossus always sort of produce this humming noise because all of their motions seem rapid and manic, sort of like when you look at a fly, they're always moving, they're always sort of like twitching. They can create a mesmerizing display of color and sound, and all creatures within 30 feet that see the Colossus must make a DC 24 will save or be slowed for up to 6 rounds. In each subsequent round, the Colossus can take a swift action to maintain the effect, or the effect ceases. Additionally, the sound creates a buffer against sonic energy, granting the demon immunity to sonic attacks or effects while it continues to drone. I don't know if you would be able... You could probably counter that with a Bard's Countersong. It's one of the very few instances in which Countersong actually comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
it'd be worth it then, too.
Colossus demons, also known as fly demons. Yeah, that's a long time to only have 1 action around. Colossus demons, also known as fly demons, have humanoid bodies and obviously these disgusting fly heads and gossamer wings. But the thing that makes them more interesting to me as NPCs than as enemies is Colossus demons are the most well-behaved and mild-mannered of pretty much all demons that exist in the Pathfinder setting. They usually act as diplomats, emissaries, or negotiators for other demons. And in certain cases, for evil wizards that summon them. So they can be, conjured for similar roles. And they also work pretty well as assassins, understandably. You suggest someone drink something that have poison in it. Or sneak attack damage. They can invisible themselves at will and just stab dudes.
Yeah.
But they're probably the most well-behaved demons in the setting. And even if they hate you, that demeanor doesn't change. They're always polite. They're always well-behaved. The only time that changes is if you trick a Colossus into looking at its own reflection. Demons are creatures that are willfully ignorant of their own hideousness, and to its own reflection is the ultimate insult. It's the ultimate shame to show a Colossus their own reflection. And it's really the only way to make one hate you so much it'll spend the rest of its virtual immortality trying to ruin you.
Yeah.
But that's everything I have for the Colossus.
All right. Also fun. Okay, Tommy. That means
All right,
it's all
Tommy's
down to you.
rounding it out. So I made a last-minute call on my CR11. It was going to be the Jiminju because I'd had it, and it's still, to this day, saved in my phone from a past campaign. I was going to use an encounter with like 5 of them in a dungeon, and we just kind of like I think I said before to you guys, I just got tired of combat that day, so we just kind of like, yeah, we'll come back to this. Never did. And I actually, now that I'm a little, more proficient at the art of how to screw with characters, I went back and I looked at the Jimenju, and the stats are really bad. So, he can go away. CR11 and really CR12 too, there's a lot of monsters that are catering to my nostalgia from that campaign, and I didn't realize it until just now. I almost for my CR11 choose a creature from Chinese mythology. It's spelled Taotieh, I believe that's pronounced Dao Di, or as Joe will know it, the experience log. But I'm not choosing him because they're how easy players can deal with the fact that this guy has high DR and it can suffocate you inside its stomach and this, that, and the third. I'm choosing a monster I didn't quite understand when I used him a lot earlier than CR11. Not to say I don't think I challenged the party, but I'm choosing a creature from Ugandan folklore. He's kind of like their Bigfoot from Bestiary 3. It is called the Lugwada. This thing is it's essentially like a dolphin with an eel head. And what I like about it is that at CR11, it has SR27, which means a level 11 has to roll. What do they even have to roll? If I'm level 11 and I'm D20 plus caster level, so 27 minus 11, I have to roll at least a 16 to hit this guy's his spell resistance, and his DR is over non-magical weapons, which is why I like him, because at this point in the game, the power creep has creeped enough to where everybody's maybe not geared out all the way, but you're going to have a magic weapon. You're going to have uber strengths. You're going to have whatever it is you're good at. You're really good at it at this point, but you might not have there's a non-magical dagger in my back pocket. Haha, that kind of thing. He also, this is an aquatic creature, which means most of the aquatic creatures, it has a really stupid ability called capsize, which in layman's terms says it doesn't matter what ship you have, or for the most part, how good your profession sailor is. If I want to use this yeah, everybody's going in the drink. And that's what I did with this guy back in the day. And I chose to have him pick off somebody. One of my players had got a ship, and that ship was crewed by a bunch of like mercenaries, and I start picking off the mercenaries as everybody. But like on his own, or even like really if you're talking like an actual level 11 party, you probably want 3 or 4 of these guys. Maybe more like 5 or 6 if you're capable of fighting in the water, because you'll still chew through them. It's 4d10 plus 15 without power attacks, so it does not have Furious Focus, but it has 1 attack, so you trade out like Improved Bull Rush and turn that into Furious Focus, so your Bite plus 22 for 4d10 plus like 26, I think, and it can grab you. And again, its DR is over specifically non-magical weapons, and its spell resistance is so high that if the casters are in the water and they can't swim, then they basically just get eaten alive by this thing. It also does it have Swallow Hold? It doesn't have Swallow Hold, does it? It does not. Okay. But if it swallows a magic item, like say your player drops his super shiny sword, that item makes a DC 22 fort save after an hour, or it becomes permanently non-magical. And when this guy crits, and that crit range is 19 to 20, whatever it crits is affected by a greater dispel magic. Now, granted, it calls this a weakness called Eldritch Encrustation, which says essentially that dispel magic cast on a Lukwada can negate the powers. It's like its spell resistance, its DR, its dispelling bite, and all this stuff for a minute, if they break the spell resistance. Granted, like elves will be a little better. If somebody's like grabbed spell penetration by now, sure, fine, they have a better chance. But that number's still really high, especially like at this bracket where you expect to see maybe like closer to 20. Again, 27 means a level 11 caster has to roll a 16, assuming he has no buffs to break that, which means most of the time he fails. To, again, not even like understate the fact that this is an aquatic encounter. Like this guy doesn't even have a like move speed. He can like blur out of the water, I guess, but that's it. So everybody's doing half damage to him, minus 10. It won't necessarily shut off like the big angry Ugg Smash characters, but it's going to go a long way to do so. For my CR12, and again, this one has gone really last minute audible on this one too, except for it was last night, because I keep forgetting this monster exists. It's from Bestiary 5, and Bestiary 5, a little bit of 4, and moving forward is where Paizo like starts to put their monsters together a little better. Whoever it was they hired to make sure everybody has the right feats and stuff like that. Like they really get the job done, and it's not just kind of like, you don't have to take this guy, slap a bunch of feats on him, and then push him back out to have him keep up. The two, like, I won't call them honorable mentions, because if I call them honorable mentions, we'll be here for 4 hours. At CR12, we also have the Het Koshu, it's from the Osirion Splat book, and essentially it's a size category gargantuan crocodile that can swallow you whole. I used him, this is the same campaign, all these monsters pretty much come from this campaign. Used him fighting a bunch of level 8 characters, and it was a lot of fun, and he's really strong. And then my other honorable mention from the Reign of Winter adventure path is the animated tank. And I was going to bring it up because, like, not necessarily like, here's machine guns and a cannon, go nuts. Not necessarily that, but it's just like, it's a good answer for if your adventure needs like a mobile siege tower, or like Grodd from Return of the King, that giant living battering ram, something like that. Just like reskin the machine guns into ballista and the cannon into like a trebuchet, and you're fine. But the actual one we care about today, and I have like 40 tabs open. Is this it? Yeah. This guy comes from Inuit mythology, and the Lordly Caliber players will probably see it at some point, because it runs right up the like headcanon I've created for Arcadia from Bestiary 5. It's called an Amarok. It's a size category huge lawful neutral wolf. It glows blue, I think, doesn't it? Where to go? It has like blue fur, I believe. Yeah. And what I like about him is, for one, he's built correctly. Just pretty much out of the box, he has Vital Strike and Improved Vital Strike, and his bite does 46 plus 15. So that means he's doing 12d6 because he only has 1 attack. So there's almost no scenario where he isn't vital striking, and that hurts really bad. He doesn't have Furious Focus. Why doesn't he have Furious? Oh, he doesn't have Furious Focus because I guess he can't, because technically the a bite isn't a two-handed weapon. But he does have Power Attack, which means he's hitting for like 46 plus 25. And he has this fun little thing. In addition to, like, he's properly geared, he has Cleave, Combat Reflexes, Improved Critical for his bite, Iron Will, but he doesn't really need it with a will save of 11 without it. In addition to that, he has Constant Discern Lies and Constant True Seeing and Scent, which is like secretly one of the most powerful abilities in Pathfinder. He has this thing called Soul Bite, which says, as a standard action, which rules is written means he can't Vital Strike with this, but maybe I'm biased, but a lot of metas seem to like play fast and loose with that. As a standard action, an Amarok can bite directly into the soul of any creature it can see. A shadowy image of the bitten creature appears next to the Amarok, and the Amarok makes its bite attack as if the creature were within reach. So, like, if you need to get around at the caster in the back, or there's a wall of thorns, or whatever, like magic, like you can't attack me, haha. As long as the Amarok's got line of sight and again true seeing, he can just kind of reach out and bite you for 46 plus a bunch. And he's a wolf, so he has trip, but he also has grab, and he can do them both. Which put him prone, they take a neg. We just did this to Ironbriar. TLDR, when they're grabbed and they're tripped, they get a bunch of negs slapped on. It ends up being like, and his CMB is 35 in a grapple. So, okay, you grab him, it's a plus 35. Maintain that grapple, it goes to 40, then you pin him. That means he's taking a neg 8. He, the thing we're grabbing, takes a neg 8 to their armor class and loses all their dex. So, like, if this guy shows up with a bunch of mobs, the mobs can hit with zero trouble. Of course, the Amarok can't use this against creatures like constructs that don't have souls, or things like outsiders that, like, the soul in the body is one thing. But the PCs are probably not that most of the time. So, like, this thing likes to, I won't say punish because it's lawful neutral, but it likes to, like, teach lessons to those who go out at night and hunt by themselves. So if you have a player who likes to, like, wander off by themselves in, like, some creepy woodland setting, or it's Inuit, so maybe more like the tundra, just throw a size category huge wolf. Hey now. There's worse things out there in Rise of the Runelords than this. But it's really, really, really powerful, and I'm not saying, like, use it to the mouth, but it's still, like, if I'm not soul biting, that's 12d6 plus 27 with power attack, plus grab, plus trip, and also it has greater grapple, which means it gets 2 actions on a turn if it's grabbing. So if I have you, I'm going to move you to pinned, and then I'm going to do bite damage to you again. It adds up really fast. I really, really like this thing.
Indeed.
And that is what I have.
All right. Well, I'm a sucker for wolves. So a wolf done right, like the Amarok, is something that I really do enjoy.
My favorite wolf, this would have to be from the Dark Souls game. I can't remember the main big...
Are you talking about the Legion Wolf? Farron?
Or Sif?
Yeah, I think it's fair.
He's talking about...
It shifts. I think it was Shift. That one wolf I actually like done right.
Yeah, that one, okay.
Yep. That was a good wolf. She was a good wolf. Rest in peace. Tear. All right.
Good wolf with a giant sword.
Yep. Wolf with a giant sword. How could you go wrong with that? All right. But that's everything we should have for today, I think. We've kept it right about an hour. So we're about 4 minutes over. So, not too bad at all. We're getting better. So, I think we covered all of our announcements before. We hope you enjoyed seeing our choices for highlighting certain creatures within these CRs, specifically this time, CR11 and 12. Do we have anything that needs brought up along your lines, Tommy, before we sign off?
I don't think so. No, I think we got everything covered.
All right. Well, if that's the case, thank you for coming, travelers. And we hope you return again. But for now, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.